swept out of town, so tonight we say hello to the Chicago Cubs. Rivalry renewed, the Cubs and the Cardinals on Fox Sports Midwest. Welcome to the broadcast booth. I'm Dan McLaughlin. That's Al Raboski. Cardinals are winning right now with 11 wins already in the first 16 games, and they're doing it with some hot bats.
That's it. Hitting is contagious. So it's not just one or two guys. You can see a host of them, 5 of them in the last 5 games have all contributed offensively, led by Ryan Ludwig's 10 RBIs. Boy, it's nice to see when you have this collective group, everybody doesn't feel like all the pressure is on one individual.
Tony La Russa in the middle of his lineup tonight, 4 consecutive at-bats with players hitting 300 or above. From starting to closing, back to starting, we'll talk about that when we come back. Well, the Cubs took 2 of 3 last weekend at Wrigley Field in Chicago, and the scene shifts to St. Louis. Game 1 tonight in the Gateway City. Ryan Dempster, the right-hander, out, getting the start for the Cubs.
Starting off to a good start. Last 2 years, he's 4-0 in April. Has an overpowering fastball, a very good slider, and cutter. He'll change the speeds on those pitches, and he's a workhorse.
What can we expect from Adam Wainwright? A little extra rest going into the start.
A little extra rest. His last outing was against the Cubs, and he won that ball game going 6 innings. And he's won his last 2 outings against the Cubs dating back to the last couple of years.
Pair of right-handers tonight. Adam Wainwright for the Cardinals, Ryan Dempster for Chicago. When we come back, walk-off winners to talk about between these two teams. Cubs and Cardinals from Busch Stadium for the first time in 2009. Over the last 5 years, the Cardinals have had some memorable walk-offs against Chicago. They've done it in all different types of ways.
Cardinals win. How about that celebration after drawing a base on balls?
Here's a 1-1 pitch. Squeezes on. Eckstein gets it down, and the Cardinals win it. David Eckstein, a hero tonight.
The right-hander kicks and he pitches. Ring it along one. Did he get enough? Get up, baby. Holy mackerel. He has done it again. A grand slam home run by Gary Bennett. He is just simply amazing. A grand slam home run and a 10-6 Cardinal win.
Runner at third, Schumacher. First pitch to him.
That's it.
Drive into right field. And it's a winner. A walk-off winner again for Schumacher, the home run. And the Cardinals win it 5-3 over the Cubs in 11.
Duncan, the winning run at second. And the pitch to Ankiel. Swing and a line drive base hit. 1 run in. Here comes Duncan. The Cardinals will win this one on a base hit by Mr. Ankiel, his 3rd of the afternoon. But listen to this crowd. The largest crowd in the history of the new Busch Stadium. And they're treated to a come from behind walk-off base hit win by Ricky Ankiel.
Always fun when these two get together, the Cardinals and the Cubs. Clubhouse Confidential with Cal Eldred next on Fox Sports Midwest. Back at Busch Stadium in St. Louis, the Chicago Cubs and the St. Louis Cardinals, Game 1 on Fox Sports Midwest. Well, the Cardinals can look at their starting rotation right now. They've got 2 pitchers already with perfect records of 3-0. Not many can lay claim to that right now in the major leagues. We're talking about Joel Pinheiro and Kyle Loge. Last time out for Joel may have been his best start this season. And then you look at Kyle Loge, already 1 complete game under his belt. Those 2 are part of a group of 10 in the major leagues that are off to 3-0 starts. Clubhouse Confidential, let's bring in Cal Eldred, fresh off the pregame show. And Cal, when you look at those 2 guys getting off to this kind of start, how important is it in particular for a guy like Joel Pinheiro?
One of the things with Joel is the fact that last year he wanted to move into this year, have a great year this year, get the confidence going, and he has. I mean, his stuff's been great. He's gone deeper into games, something he hasn't done in the past, and I think this is very, very important for him. This 3-0 record, he can end up with a great record at the end of the season, Dan.
All right, thank you, Cal. It's Adam Wainwright on the mound this evening for the Cardinals, Ryan Dempster for Chicago. Cubs, Cardinals, a rivalry renewed in 09 when we come back. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Budweiser Select, full flavor, 99 calories, the exception to the rule. By Steak and Shake, famous for steak burgers. By Auto Tire, for the lowest prices in town. Choose Auto Tire. We shop the competitors so you don't have to. And by Chevy. See your Mid-America Chevy dealers or shop and compare at stlchevy.com. He gets more FaceTime than Al Raboski. That's Tony West. Hardest working man in our crew.
Well, he gets more FaceTime than me, but that's only about a tenth of yours.
Thank you, Al. My rightful place. All right.
Exactly. Hey, we're going to have fun tonight. Cubs
Yes,
are in
we
town.
are. And how about this? Is Lou Piniella now has shifted his lineup a little bit. The 10-game hitting streak for Alfonso Soriano, 14 for 40. And he will bat third in this lineup. And the Cubs, Al, have actually struggled a bit scoring runs. So Lou Piniella switching things up.
Yeah, we talked about how hot the Cardinal hitters are. Well, the Cubs are the opposite.
And that pitch is at the knees and a strike to Ryan Theriot. And Theriot is 7 for 20 against Adam Wainwright, the starter tonight for the Cardinals.
Good series last week, 5 for 12.
The Chicago Cubs trying to make it 3 years in a row of winning the Central Division. Numbers on Wainwright this year brought to you by Marshall Wireless. Opponents only hitting .233. Maybe the biggest surprise so far for Wainwright, 16 and a third innings pitch, but the 12 walks. And that is hammered out to deep left field. But Duncan with room backing up to make the catch. Let's take a look at the defense. Duncan and Keel and Ludwig in the outfield. Those three hitting the ball very well. Joe Thurston, another start at third. Green at short. Schumacher at second. Pujols at first. Wainwright and Molina, the battery. The Auto Tire Cardinals defense. And a look at Tony La Russa.
Tony's always having fun, matched up against his childhood buddy Lou Piniella. Adds a new excitement to this rivalry.
Kosuke Fukudome, big question with him this year, partner. Can he keep it up? Off to a good start at .347, 3 homers, 10 RBIs, but this is the kind of start that he got off to last year.
Exactly. They saw this kind of start and then really kind of fizzled out towards the end. But I'm sure he's going to be a little more acclimated to what the major league scene is like after his 9 very successful years in Japan.
Before it's all said and done, you wonder at the end of the year, will they regret trading Mark DeRosa, who's such a versatile player, could play so many different positions, but also gave them flexibility in their lineup as well.
I agree. And when that trade was made, it was one that I didn't quite understand. And of course, the early returns on Milton Bradley have not been good, only because he's been out of the lineup with injury.
1-2 pitch. Fukudome just got a piece. It's 81 degrees. And it got up to 89 here in downtown St. Louis.
Kind of snuck up on us, didn't it?
Sure did. We knew it was going to be nice, but we didn't anticipate this kind of heat. And apparently this weekend, it's going to be very, very nice all weekend long.
All weekend long, and there'll be a few visitors to St. Louis.
In years past, it seemed like the Cubs fans didn't travel as well to St. Louis as the Cardinal fans went to Chicago, but that has changed.
And it's a good change. You know, the Cardinal fans are having a tough time getting tickets in Chicago, and the Cub fans are realizing they can come down here and enjoy the weekend series or anytime. Watch your Cardinal baseball here.
Fukudome down on strikes. First strikeout of the night for Wainwright.
Dan, you touched about it. The surprising thing with those 12 walks that Wainwright's had. So it's important right here that he does not walk a batter. A borderline pitch, it goes Wainwright's way. I thought there was a pitch earlier in the sequence that he should have rung up Fukudome, but it just came 2 pitches later.
In your opinion, ideally, you think Soriano is better suited at this spot in the lineup?
Well, you know, he's such an interesting guy. He's the 3rd most leadoff home runs in all of baseball history when he's in the leadoff spot. But there's no doubt about it that he can generate some offense. He can be an offensive, an RBI machine. But somehow it seems like you know, you like that instant lead he can give you out of leadoff spot.
Tony La Russa knows all about that with Ricky Henderson, one of the best.
Yeah, Ricky has the most leadoff home runs in history. Then Craig Biggio has got 53 and Soriano 51.
1 ball, 1 strike, 2 outs, and nobody on for Chicago here in the top of the first. Soriano underneath it, left center. Calling for it, Rick Ankiel to make the catch in a 1-2-3 inning for Adam Wainwright. Cardinals coming up in their half of the first. Cardinals and Cubs, first time here in St. Louis. Cubs took 2 of 3 last weekend at Wrigley. A look at Tony's lineup. Schumacher, Ankiel, and Pujols. .289 career average against the Cubs. By the way, 2 RBI shy of 1,000 for his career. Ludwig, Duncan, Molina, Green, Thurston, and Adam Wainwright. Here's Skip Schumacher, who is 8 for 21 against Ryan Dempster. And both these starters have been closers at times in their career, and now back to the starting rotation. Dempster, a 17-game winner from a year ago.
Dempster, one of 4 active pitchers to make at least 150 starts and record at least 85 career saves.
And his numbers brought to you by Marshall Wireless. 1 ball, 1 strike. You see that little funky delivery that he's got with his glove, and he does that to hide his pitches.
Well, not only does it do that, but it has a tendency, if a hitter doesn't have good concentration, he'll watch the flicking of the glove and be distracted by that, trying to pick up the release point.
And he was asked about this, Dempster, why he started it, and he said he was just fooling around one day and picked up on it and liked it. So he kept it last year, and it's continued here in 2009.
Anything to be deceptive.
Schumacher, a fly ball into shallow right, and it drops in for a hit in front of Fukudome. A look at the Cubs defensively as we go around the horn, presented by Auto Tires. Soriano, Johnson, and Fukudome. Ramirez, Terrio, Fontenot, Derek Lee, 3 Gold Gloves over there at first. Dempster and Soto, last year's Rookie of the Year in the National League.
I don't know about you, but as a pitcher, I would like a little better effort from my right fielder. It's a leadoff game. I don't care if you dive and that ball gets by you and it's an inside the park home run. I can live with that, but that was a little bit too conservative.
Ankiel with a fly ball out to right. Kosuke Fukudome with the catch. Fukudome can play center field, but primarily in right. They've got Reed Johnson in center. Well, one swing of the bat, and Albert Pujols will have 1,000 career RBIs.
In his 9th season, and obviously early in the 9th season, and already 998 career RBIs. Never had a season under 100 RBIs at the big league level. Always hit over 300, always had 30 or more home runs, and always 100 RBIs. Look at those numbers already, leading the league in several categories.
1 for 9 last weekend at Wrigley. If he can do it, he'll become just the 6th Cardinal with 1,000 RBIs. Musial, Slaughter, Bottomley, Hornsby, Boyer, and then you can name the add the name of Albert Pujols.
And he's 4 away from Kenny Boyer in 5th place in the RBI department in all-time Cardinal history.
And there are currently 21 active players right now with 1,000 RBIs. Carlos Beltran is 1 shy, by the way, of 1,000. He had quite a series against the Cardinals. Pujols on the ground is short, bobbled just a bit, out at second and out at first. 6-4-3 on the double play, no score. Well, those two have worked extensively with Skip Schumacher. Here's Joe Patini on the transition for Skip from the outfield to the infield.
Well, I think the biggest adjustment for an outfielder coming into the infield is the quickness of the game. You know, the ball's going to get to you a lot sooner than it will if you're in right field. So, but Skip's done a lot. He's done a lot of preparation since spring training. It's not only the quickness of the ball getting to you, it's the quickness that an infielder has to have to make plays, not only get to the ball, but to make plays a little easier.
Ramirez, and he hits it down the third base line. That's fair and into the corner. Aramis Ramirez with a leadoff double. That's Joe Patini in his 8th season with the Cardinals as a bench coach and a former middle infielder in the big leagues, primarily with San Francisco when he played short. And he has worked since day one with Skip Schumacher, before and after every day They'd have their normal routine as far as the team is concerned, but Skip had to be there early and leave late.
And he was more than willing to put in that time. Cheney, remember when Oquendo was managing Puerto Rico in the World Baseball Classic, Cheney was the only one left with Schumacher and Joe Mather, guys like that, trying to make conversions.
And a little later, we'll hear from Joe about some of the drills that they put Skip Schumacher through. And Joe is saying, for me, the transition from short to second was very tough. He said it was easier the other way around. He said just because of the turns and the footwork that it takes in a double play at second, he said people don't understand how hard this really is.
Well, I've always said that, a lot of people think that, oh, you can put a weak arm guy at second base because you're that much closer to first. But look at so many odd throws where you're going out in the outfield.
Here is Lee, and a ground ball to short, backhanded by Green. Long throw, and Derek Lee can't advance the runner. Nice play by Green.
Ramirez had a great series, and as you take a look at the ball here, set here, and he's got that strong arm, but the ball hit in front of Ramirez. He couldn't advance. Ramirez was 6 for 13 last week in Chicago, and already 1 for 1 today.
Here's Mike Fontenot, their second baseman.
A thrill for Fontenot and Terrio, 2 college teammates on a national championship team.
And there's a breaking ball in there for a strike. Extra rest for Wainwright. Talking with the coaching staff prior to the game tonight, they feel if you're going to have that happen, it might be better early on than it is late when you can really stretch guys out.
And you'll see that first breaking ball was the get ahead breaking ball. You kind of almost lollipop it up there. It's a, you could ever see a study on how many first pitch strikes are even put in play? Very few are hit for base hits. Most of the time they're taken or fouled off.
0-2 pitch. Ooh, just missed on the inside corner.
A few times Eric Cooper already has not given Wainwright some inside or close pitches.
Soto is on deck. Count of 1 ball and 2 strikes on Fontenot. There's the curveball, and a much better one that time, as you talked about.
It's the harder one to put away type curveball. It's a strikeout pitch.
Second strikeout for Wainwright. If you're traveling and can't catch the Cardinals TV broadcast, catch all the action on your computer at MLB.tv. Catch over 100 live out-of-market games per week. For complete details, visit STLCardinals.com. Unfortunately for Chris Carpenter, he's been watching a lot.
Yeah, unfortunately. And
good pitch.
Slider out there, but when you put Carpenter in this lineup, and particularly the way he started out the season, was pitching dynamite before the ribcage pull. Cardinals feel their starting 5 would match up against anyone's starting 5.
John Mozeliak told us that this team would hit, and so far they have hit big time. It's another good pitch, misses on the outside corner. Soto, an interesting story when you think about where he was in the minor leagues and really never hit like he's hit in the big leagues. Look at John right there. Tell you about a charitable endeavor he's with coming up. 1-1 pitch. This is on the inside corner, 2-1. By the way, John Mozeliak will be part of the American Parkinson Disease Association golf tournament Monday, May 18th. And he asked us to pass along a number, 362-3299, if you'd like to take part in that. He'll be the featured speaker. That catches the outside corner. Now, you're Soto. You've seen in, you've seen out, nothing over the middle of the plate.
Oh, that's the key. That's key. Nothing over the middle, because a hitter can cover one side of the plate. He can't cover both. They're going to go away.
2-2. Good block by Yadier Molina. Did not go.
Started his swing, but held up on the ball, bounced in there.
Eric Cooper, by the way, our home plate umpire. Scott Berry at first, Laz Diaz at second, and Chuck Merriweather is over at third.
Now, the truck was thinking it would be an inside pitch there. One of the problems I've seen, and maybe the reason Molina went back away, is in the early goings, Eric Cooper is not calling the inside pitch.
A 3-2 pitch with a runner at second base and 2 outs. He got him, punched him out. Second strikeout in the inning, third in the game for Wainwright. He looks sharp. Nasty breaking ball here. A knee buckler. No score midway through 2. Toyota keys to the game. Well, the Cardinals have scored 5+ runs in their last 8 games, but Ryan Dempster, especially on the road, can be tough. Has not allowed 5+ runs in his last 8 road games. Well, something's got to give here tonight.
Something's got to give, but you put these 2 clubs together, and the Cubs have very good pitching. Their offense is a monster. Maybe struggling a little bit right now, but anything can happen when these 2 clubs meet.
Here's Ludwig, the right fielder tonight, and he looks at a high strike and didn't like it.
It's one thing Dempster will pitch up in the zone, and particularly with some of the left-handed Cardinal bats, he'll try and get them to chase the ball out of the strike zone.
Up the middle, base hit. Second hit for the Cardinals. Well, both these guys, as we mentioned, Wainwright and Ryan Dempster, were closers at one point, and then what they did as starters. You see the ERA for Dempster, 2.96. First season back as a starter.
Of course, Wainwright was a starter all through the minor leagues, then got to the big leagues and end up pitching in middle relief, and then was a closer in 06 in the World Series before really assuming that starting rotation, where Dempster was a closer for a few years with a few different teams.
And Duncan off the end of the bat hits it high in the air out to shallow left. Alfonso Soriano, little jump, and here comes some boos. With a runner on, he's doing that. It's ridiculous.
Hey, it's it's showtime. It's okay as long as you catch the ball.
This is okay.
Oh, if you catch the ball. But I remember Bob Forsch, and it was in Wrigley Field when Andy Van Slyke first came up. Andy wanted to catch the ball one-handed and snap down on it. And Bob Forsch told him, he said, that's fine, but if you ever miss it, you're going to answer to me. And he missed a ball in Wrigley Field, and it cost the Cardinals a game. When he came in, Bob Forsch met him to the top step. And because it's family programming, we can't tell you what was said.
There's Ronnie Sano.
I saw Mr. Sano today, and I welcomed him to St. Louis, and we talked about his ball club, and sit there and told me how much he likes it. And I said, is this live or is this Memorex? Because I've been hearing you say that for 20 years.
There's Pat Hughes on the left, and for any Cardinal fan out there, Pat has done a wonderful job with a CD on Jack Buck. You can find out more at baseballvoices.com. It's a CD about Jack's life and some of the great highlights over the years, and that's at baseballvoices.com. I know he always likes us to pass that along.
Well, not only Jack, but Harry Carey, and I know he's got Harry Callis, who passed away a few weeks ago.
Red Barber is on there.
I mean, it's a fantastic tape, and a real true baseball fan will really appreciate any of those great voices.
Late great Jack Buck. 1 ball, 1 strike. 1 out and a runner at first, and certainly Molina double play candidates. 4 for 15 against Ryan Dempster. The Cubs had a misplay in the outfield yesterday late in their game with Carlos Zambrano on the mound. That was against the Reds. Reds won a couple at Wrigley Field. Hoppower was playing right. He had 2 misplays. 7-1 loss to the Reds, and Carlos Zambrano did keep his composure, which the Cubs said, lost in the game was the fact that Zambrano kept his cool. Maybe he's making strides in that direction.
He has been. Dan, sometimes you get a real competitor, and I put Carlos in that category. They can tolerate mistakes, physical mistakes from their teammates, but when they do something wrong, they're become intolerable because they're just looking for that excellence.
A 2-1 pitch to Yadier Molina. Foul. 2-2. Cardinals catchers have hit very well. Molina combined with Jason LaRue had a 3-hit day yesterday, and collectively they're now hitting .379.
Yeah, how about Jason has 2 starts and he has 5 hits in those 2 starts, and Molina, who hit .300 last year winning his first Gold Glove, is off to a great start offensively, and something that Tony really predicted this season, that he was going to become more and more an offensive force.
A short lead at first by Ludwig. The 2-2 to Yadier Molina. There he goes. Back to Dempster by starting the runner. They avoid the double play. And Ludwig slid right over the bag. Thank goodness he didn't get hurt out there. He was going in hard at second base. Cardinals head to Atlanta on Monday to take on the Braves on Fox Sports Midwest. Coverage starts at 5:30 with Cardinals Live. Cardinals and Braves Monday, high definition, only on Fox Sports Midwest. You get Bobby Cox, you get Tony La Russa. Two of the best in the game, two of the best really all time. Major League history.
Well, they're, what, 1 and 2 in active managers and career wins.
No John Smoltz. He's with the Boston Red Sox. We've got Jurgens, who was very good in his last start, took a no-hitter deep into their game earlier this week. Derek Lowe signed as a free agent from Los Angeles. They still have a guy named Chipper Jones that can still hit. Won the batting championship a year ago.
As a baseball fan, we want to see him stay healthy.
And he's been dealing with a sore thumb. But speaking of health, Kyle Loge, MRI on his knee after he left after 5 innings yesterday, came up negative. And he told me he would not miss his start on Tuesday in Atlanta. And we, at the time, thought it was his ankle, and he said no. He said it was his right knee. And it was a play at first. He said he was really in between whether to get the ball or just try to get out of the way of Pujols, and then just turned into an odd play. He jammed his knee, and he said the reason it scared him is because he had had a cleanup surgery on that knee before. So he had had arthroscopic surgery on his right knee, and that's what gave him a cause of concern. But everything's okay, and he'll start on Tuesday night.
And it worked out good. He got the win. Tony was able to get medical staff to get him some treatment. We got to see 5 more relievers, and the Cardinals got the victory.
Green slowly hit but foul. So here's the play from yesterday afternoon.
You can see why by watching, you see why we thought it was the ankle. So he comes over to cover. It's an error on Albert, but both his ankles kind of collapse. You'll see it right here. He goes down on the heel, and it's the right knee. So they got it checked out. He'll get to treatment and be ready for his next start.
See the grip there of Dempster, and that's how he'll start.
Splitter grip. Start with the most extreme grip, because then it's easier to change to a fastball or slider grip. If you start with your fastball or slider grip and then try to change when the ball's in your glove, you've got to really reach in there, and you have a better chance of giving away or tipping your pitches. So you start with your most extreme grip, where they split out the fingertips. You got the almost a forkball grip, the way he holds it so far back in the hand. And then as he comes set, he will change to whatever the signal is called. Changing right now.
2-2. And Green lifts it high in the air out to deep right center field. Reed Johnson over to make the catch on the track. Ukadome was playing very shallow and right. Long way to go for Reed Johnson, and the Cardinals strand their first runner of the night. We play 2 here at Busch. No score. Time again for the Cardinals Alumni Kids Clinics. Boys and girls ages 7 to 13 can learn baseball fundamentals from former Cardinal greats like Danny Cox, Rick Horton, and John Mabry. These and other former Cardinals will be conducting one-day clinics this summer at St. Louis area ball fields. And the number to find out more is 314-345-9891 or stlcardinals.com. Great way to learn baseball from former Cardinals here in St. Louis. Playing in. Oh, what a play by Thurston. Takes the hit away. How well has he played over at third?
Now, whether it's Barton or Thurston, these guys have done a nice job defensively and offensively in a platoon situation. Playing in on the grass, sharply hit. Just a dive, snares the ball, gets to his feet, and throws out Reed Johnson.
That's an outstanding play by Joe Thurston.
But you know what? When you pitch to contact, you get that kind of defense behind you because everyone's on their toes.
Dempster, Schumacher, 2 outs. And you also work quickly. You throw strikes. That's something that Wainwright, for the most part, will do.
The one thing he's had problems with this year, and he's one of our favorites. He's a real horse out there and a winning player. But he knows he's got to keep that pitch count down. It's been very high in his first few starts. He really gutted out 6 innings for the victory in Chicago, and he's off to a much better start here tonight.
You see the pitch count at 31. 2 outs, and here's Terrio. And a strike on the outside corner. Got a rivalry here with the Cubs and the Cardinals, Yankees and Red Sox. First of many this season between those two teams. Yankees lead it 2-1. That's in the bottom of the 4th. That's at the knees and a strike, 0-2. First time up, he lined out to left. Has a 0-2. Molina wants it low and in. Gets it there. Ground ball, backhanded. Khalil Green settles, throws, got him. Good defense. 6 pitches in the inning. Joe Thurston leads it off when we come back. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Kia Motors. To learn more, visit kia.com. By Aflac, we've got you under our wing. And by the Casino Queen, home of the loosest slots. Cardinals and the Cubs, and here's Thurston. Nice round of applause for him after his diving stop. He, along with Barden, have really played well. Also saw Khalil Green with that fine defensive play, and he's had a couple of backhands and showed off his arm from short. That's one thing about Tony La Russa's clubs throughout the last few years. When they've been winning championships defensively, they've been very, very good. 2 balls and 1 strike.
Such a big part of the game is playing defense, and that can make a dramatic effect on your pitching staff if you play good defense.
3-1.
The nice thing is when you can have good pitching, good defense, and Tony loves this offense.
As a team, the Cardinals already at 100 RBIs on the year and hitting .303. That catches the outside corner, 3-2. Think about that. Already 100 RBIs. Full count on Joe Thurston. Wainwright on deck, and then we'll see Skip Schumacher. If anybody can reach, then Ricky Ankiel. Thurston fouled back. Busch Stadium is filled up. It's a sea of red here tonight. A warm night here in St. Louis. Standing room only all weekend.
Talk about when that first game of a series sets a tone for an entire weekend.
A 3-2. And he chased ball forward, strikes out. First strikeout for Dempster on the night.
That's what Dempster likes to do with the left-handed batters. He'll get them to chase that ball up, and in that case it was just so ineffective being up and in.
Well, that's what Hal McRae was talking about before the game, especially with the guys at the top of the lineup. He loves to elevate on the lefties. Schumacher and Keel. You have to try to get on top of the ball and center it. And Wainwright takes a ball upstairs.
Hal McRae was a solid major league player. Mr. Great DH. Hurt his shoulder early in his career.
Wainwright into center field, but that'll hang up there for Reed Johnson.
2 pretty good hitting pitchers in this game too.
I was talking to Hal before the game about the Pine Tar incident, because I was asking him about the bases loaded strikeout of Thurston earlier this week, and I said, you think that was low? And he says, yeah, I did. Went back and looked at the tape. I thought it was low, and I said, yeah, that was Tim McClellan with that call. And he said, I know. So when he stands up, I can't tell if he's going to call a ball or strike.
Right.
And he said, I was on deck when George Brett hit that home run. He said Billy Martin had no idea to go and get the bat. It was other people that knew the rule, and they were screaming at the bat boy to go get the bat, and he said all I had to do was pick it up and throw it in the dugout, and we would have had no issue whatsoever. One of the most famous plays in recent baseball history.
So it's all Hal's fault, huh?
That's what I said.
Well, I remember Ted Simmons in San Diego. He hit a home run, came back, and there was a discussion at home plate, and all of a sudden they disallowed the home run because he had grooved his bat. And Teddy did not know that you could not do that. You couldn't deface the bat. You know, but a lot of hitters used to kind of take scissors and get the mesh out of the grain, and then they'd burn rosin in it to harden it.
To strike, 2-2. And Hal was saying people don't understand that rule and why it was around. He said it was from way back when you only had a certain amount of baseballs to play with, and if the pine tar was on the barrel, they didn't want to dirty up the balls. And so that was a rule from way back when. It really didn't apply to modern baseball.
Because obviously they wouldn't have a rule that would penalize a hitter.
There's a swing and a miss. Foul tip held on to by Giovanni Soto. Bucadome, Soriano, Ramirez coming up. There's no score. Don't miss Bud Light T-shirt night on Friday, May 15th at 7:15. Milwaukee in town. First 25,000 fans ages 21 and over receive a Bud Light Cardinals T-shirt. For tickets, go to stlcardinals.com. Kosuke Fukudome called out on strikes his first time up. Wainwright has struck out 3 so far. Only 6 pitches in that last inning. We're already in the 4th, and there's no score. Fukudome, Soriano, and Ramirez. And that's it out of play and foul. 1-2.
How to throw enough strikes that you get hitters to expand their zone and but not be able to center a ball.
We visited with Aaron Miles before one of the games last weekend at Wrigley Field, and he said he was anxious to get back to see what kind of reception he may get. That pitch was up, and Fukudome with a base hit into right. As Aaron Miles returns after 3 years with the Cardinals, which included that World Series team in '06, and now wearing Cubby blue. There's a look at Mike Caruso. Works for the St. Louis Blues. Been with the Blues for a number of years. And unfortunately, he's not in Vancouver tonight. He's in the green seats.
He does an excellent job, doesn't he?
He does.
He's always told me that. Traveling secretary, right?
Does that. He works with the media. There's Soriano. Long way to go for Ludwig. Schumacher. Oh, he got it! The second baseman, Schumacher, with the play. Outstanding play.
Well, there are advantages of having an outfielder play second base, and we just saw one. Ludwig always going to hustle, but he wasn't going to get anywhere near this ball. But Schumacher never gave up on it. He's been on the other end of it. You go back until you're called off. He didn't hear anything. Reaches out to last second, dives for the ball, and comes up with a heck of a play for his good buddy Adam Wainwright.
The Exmo Camp presented by Hot Shot Sports Bar and Grill. Location in downtown, 1 block south on Broadway. That is a fantastic play from Skip Schumacher.
Play's not made. At the very least, you have runners at first and third and nobody out.
Instead, it's a runner at first for Ramirez, who doubled down the left field line his first time up. 1-0 pitch. 2 balls and no strikes. Ramirez now with 4 doubles and 10 for 24 against Wainwright. Boy, that's a good play by Skip Schumacher. You can see right now he's pointing to the infielder, saying that the guys in the outfield can't see it. It's that time of night.
Yeah, he knows that because he's been on the other end. Lights really haven't taken effect.
2-1.
So any ball that's hit in the air in shallow outfield, the infielders really have to concentrate and don't give up on any ball. those lights in the next few minutes will really take effect, and then you have great vision. But until they do, the outfielders really have a tough time at dusk time with a ball hit in the air.
Schumacher made a nice play on a pick and a hard hit ball yesterday too on a backhand. Time called and awarded. So now going through the mind of Skip Schumacher, what happens on a potential double play ball?
It's kind of what Joe Patini was talking about. Things are so much faster in the infield.
That's ripped foul. One thing they have told Schumacher, though, is try to slow things down, because your arm can make up for some of the speed of the game. You know, if you slow it down a little bit, your arm with a cannon that he's got, you know, can buy you a little time.
Most important thing is get your footwork under control, and then, you know, then you can make up for the running speed with your shotgun arm. Most important thing is just make those routine plays. Nice pick.
And I asked Joe about, you know, the double play, and he said, I'm not the right guy to ask. He said the guy you need to talk to about footwork, Okendo. He said, I don't want to screw him up too badly. I can work with him on different things, but make sure you ask Cozy about that. And
you know, we've seen, you know, from spring training to the start of the season,
good pitch.
And here in the first month, that it's a good progression with Schumacher. And that's already the 4th strikeout for Wainwright. And this breaking ball, he has frozen some of these hitters right now. They're a good fastball hitting team. And when you get 2 strikes and you can throw those off-speed pitches, you're going to freeze a bunch of them.
I think it's interesting to see how the Cardinals pitch to Derek Lee. You saw a lot of fastballs last weekend at Wrigley Field, and you have to wonder if that wrist has been a little bit of a problem for him. Remember, he broke his wrist, and he's still trying to get back into form. And he's hitting right now .203 with 1 home run and 9 RBIs.
Well, he had a good homestand, but it was a 2-25 road trip to start the season. And he didn't have a particularly good spring, so people have questioned that wrist again.
Now, before that last pitch, one umpire called time and the other one called a balk.
A lot of times you'll balk when time is called. As Diaz is out at second base, he probably called the balk, and the home plate umpire called time.
There's the fastball, 1 ball, 1 strike. You know, when he's right, Derek Lee is a force at the plate.
Yeah, I've always thought a lot of real high average hitters, and remember, he's also has a batting championship, is that they're really good breaking ball hitters.
An infielder can request an umpire to move a couple of steps to his right, to his left, whatever the case may be, to help him out with a view, depending on where he's playing with that particular batter.
Oh, maybe he's Superman. He's got X-ray vision.
Here's a 1-2 pitch to Derek Lee. He gets the breaking ball and a ground ball to Thurston. Force play at second. Ankiel, Pujols, Ludwig coming up. The play, though, that set the tone at the top of the inning, the diving catch by Skip Schumacher. Bottom of the 4th rolls in here in St. Louis, and there's no score. The Cubs and the Cardinals. Here's Rick Ankiel, followed by Albert Pujols, and then Ryan Ludwig. And that's off the end of the bat for strike 1. And talking with the Cardinals hitting coach Hal McRae, he said Ankiel right now is letting the ball come to him, and he's not lunging, not out on his front foot, which we may have seen a little bit earlier. He said he's more relaxed and trusting his hands. Hits that sharply to Lee. Dempster, though, at the bag at first. He was near the line.
And Derek Lee has won multiple Gold Gloves and showed you on a sharply hit ball right there how he can get to it and knock it down.
Let's take a look at the Hot Shots Exmo Cam. Again, Hot Shots Sports Bar and Grill downtown on Broadway, 1 block from the ballpark.
Looked like he used more of his wrist than his glove on that one, or at least in the heel of his hand. So he knocked it down.
And it brings in Pujols. Firestone leaderboard time. Often we bring it up when Albert Pujols is at the plate. Highest career slugging percentage. Babe Ruth, .690. Then you have Ted Williams, Gehrig, a guy named Pujols. Isn't that something? Being that kind of company. Pujols fooled by the pitch, but still makes the adjustment and just floats one into shallow center. That was a pretty good pitch there by Dempster.
Broke his bat.
Outfield was deep anyway, and Pujols little floater into center.
See how deep they are. See Reed Johnson react. He does react, but it broke his bat, so he knew he could never catch up to it. And just a harmless single with just one out.
Here's Ludwig, who singled up the middle his first time up. Ryan Ludwig coming off a career season a year ago. 30-year-old, signed as a minor league free agent prior to 2007. He'll be 31 on the 13th of July. And remember, at this point last year, he was platooning the first month of the season.
And Duncan was getting the right-handed starters, and Ludwig was getting the left-handed starters, and he actually ended up with a much higher average against right-handed batters.
It's a big-time prospect for a while. He debuted at the age of 23 with Texas, then was dealt to Cleveland, part of a Shane Spencer deal, and he fractured his hip. He also had a fractured wrist. Needed a 6-inch titanium rod near that hip. And a lot of the attention this offseason was on Ludwig. The potential of a trade that never happened. There's a fly ball to Fukudome, and he'll make the catch. Remember, it was much of the attention on Matt Holliday, who wound up with the A's, and John Mozeliak said, look, I never put Ludwig out there. He was asked about, and I want to make sure that he understands that's a compliment to the kind of year that he had.
Yeah, it was really the Colorado Rockies were mentioning Ludwig, where the Cardinals were thinking about trading another outfielder.
Now it's Duncan with 2 outs. And he looks at a pitch on the outside corner for ball 1.
That's why a lot of general managers are scared to death to have these purported trades and don't want their players to be known. It's not really fair to them if the trade is not made.
Here's a 1-0 pitch, and Duncan grounds out to second. A pitcher's duel here at Busch Stadium in game 1. Fontenot, Soto, Johnson coming up. No score. Tomorrow on Fox Sports Midwest, watch a new episode of Cardinals Crew. This week, Andy Menace and Fredberg try the all-new food at Busch Stadium. Cardinals Crew made possible by Shriners Hospital for Children. Airs Saturdays at 11:30 on Fox Sports Midwest. And that is Alan Menace and Mike Jorgensen right there.
2 of John Mozeliak's lieutenants, both of them scouted at the major league level. Bobby Wine was back there, who's advanced scouting for the Atlanta Braves. You see him in the white shirt.
How good would Alan Menace been without the injuries that he had? I'll never forget pitcher's duel he had in the mid-90s with Greg Maddux, and Alan at the time was the young up-and-coming big star in baseball, but injuries curtailed his career. He was nasty. Brother Andy wasn't bad either.
No, and I remember talking to the Dodgers pitching coach when he had Chano Park, he had Nomo, he had an international starting rotation. He said, I'd just love to work with Alan Menace and Matt Morris.
There's another nasty curveball from Adam Wainwright. Strikeout number 5. This date in baseball history brought to you by Schnucks. Dizzy Dean faces the Cardinals for the first time as a member of the Cubs. April 24th, 1938. Our Schnucks this date in baseball history.
There's another one of those pretty lopsided trades. Because Dizzy didn't have much success when he went to the Cubs after a brilliant career with the Cardinals. Much like Ernie Broglio.
For Brock.
Traded for Lou Brock. Hey, also on this date, I won't say history, but our good buddy Jerry Clinton. It's his birthday. So happy birthday to Jerry. I see him down in the stands.
Here's the 0-1 pitch. Ooh, good pitch. Missed inside. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Eric Cooper's not giving that inside pitch. Now you can't avoid it. You have to keep on going in there.
The 1-1 to Soto. High strike that time and gets the call. 1-2.
Many times, if you, as a pitcher, if you can show that you can repeat that pitch in there, the second or third time you'll get the call. So you can't give up on a location. Now their slider away, wants it in the dirt. Just off the plate. Soto a good job and stay off it. Last year's Rookie of the Year is off to a very slow start.
Struck out looking his first time up and hitting an even 100 right now. 2-2. Soto lines it up the middle for a base hit. So 1-out hit, and it brings in Reed Johnson. The big offseason signing for Chicago was Milton Bradley. 3 years, $30 million. And Milton Bradley not playing, according to Lou Piniella, until he is 100%. He's 1 for 23 so far. He was booed at Wrigley Field this past week. And he apparently has not been talking much with the media.
Well, I guess I could say, why are you surprised? And that's a player's prerogative. You don't have to talk to media, but it sure is helpful when they do.
So 1 out and a runner at first. Bradley
has he declared whether he got a suspension or not, or
it's a good question, because he struck out the Cardinals series with the bases loaded. He did get suspended, but then appealed it.
Right. Has not had the case heard yet.
And that's a strike.
Just a machine out there. Just, you like to see Wainwright when he is effective, and he is very much so tonight. Just utilizes all of his pitches on both sides of the plate. You can see the ratio there, 2-to-1 strikes to balls, and just attacking the hitter and keeping that pitch count down.
There's a curveball that misses a little bit up. 1 ball, 1 strike. Reed Johnson was robbed by Joe Thurston. First time up, Thurston was playing in, made a diving stop to his left. Milton Bradley is a highly talented player, as we've seen. Finished 3rd in the American League last year. He had .321. His on-base percentage, which you take a hard look at, was at .436. Ground ball past Khalil Green into left. So back-to-back hits now. First and second, with Dempster digging in with 1 out. Dempster lined out to Schumacher his first time up. He's 0 for 1.
Reed Johnson, not a lot of power, and he hits this ball, just a ground ball, which he was looking for to end the inning, but it finds a hole in the left side and goes through a base hit.
Were you a little surprised that the Cubs did not bring back Jim Edmonds?
Yeah, a little bit, but especially when you talk to Lou Piniella and Jimmy. Jimmy told me how much he enjoyed playing there, and that he would go back there, probably the only place he'd go back to. But you know, and Lou Piniella and everyone said he had some really big hits for them.
There's a bunt that Molina will go to third, but
double play maybe.
Thurston not back at the bag in time, and so the bases will be loaded. A chancy play for Molina.
Well, he tagged, trying to figure they're bringing it back.
Well, he tagged Dempster, but yeah, was it a foul ball?
No, he tagged
okay, so
him.
He is out.
Yeah, that's what he was saying. But then the throw here, and good athletic move by Thurston to catch that ball, spin, and try to get back to the third base bag and tag out the runner.
Heads up play there by Molina. So second and third. And now 2 outs for Ryan Theriot.
Dempster does get the sack down. Last year, he had more sacks than anybody in baseball and set a franchise record for the Cubs.
Nearly a double play that time. And once he had tagged out Dempster, that took the force play away at third. So Thurston would have had to tag the runner.
I mean, it was a heads-up play. Molina, that really, you had to tag the guy. He was right in front of you there. And, you know, they almost pull out and getting the lead man on top of it. And Thurston with an athletic play to try and get back and apply that tag.
Here's a 1-0 pitch. You're thinking at the time, what the heck is going on here? But this is a really heads-up play by Molina.
Well, you see, get him out there and push him out of the way. Tags him there and then fires to third base. Remember, Thurston's kind of playing in for the front, so he has to kind of
lead him,
run backwards, backpedaling to the bag, and catch a cannon of a throw, and then to have the mindset to know that he's got to tag him at the bag. So he kind of dove back for the bag, and he just gets underneath it. Soto.
Here's a 1-1 pitch with 2 outs, runners at second and third. To me, the play of this homestand very well could be in the first game of the homestand, the Beltran play where Molina was blocking the plate. Tony La Russa talked about Yadier playing one of the most complete games he's seen him play.
Absolutely.
I mean, that saved that game, and that set the tone in that series.
And that was the second of 2 runners that were tagged out at the plate.
And he also picked off Daniel Murphy in that game at first.
And had a few hits, but he just got a foul tip off his bare hand.
But he means so much to this team, and now you add in his offense over the last couple of years, and he's a valuable member of the Cardinals.
Watch that bare hand out there as pitch fouled off, and it goes right after. He's trying to get it back behind his leg, but let's go back to the Beltran play. Ball got away from Thurston. He chases it down and fires. Beltran steps on his left foot and never touched home plate in a tie ball game late. That was what, the bottom or top of the 8th inning?
It's in the 8th. The 2-2 pitch. And that'll find the seats out of play. We see at Wrigley Field, their fans in this kind of situation a lot of times on their feet, and this is good to hear the Cardinal fans get into it here in the 5th.
Oh, I think they are aware of the situation.
You bet.
I would think some of those Cardinal fans that were up last week in Chicago didn't like that song they sing at the end of the game.
Neither did Wainwright. Remember in the interview I conducted with him, he said, I don't want to hear that Go Cubs Go anymore.
Well, it's one way not to hear it.
That time is called.
They're going to get together and make sure they're on the same page. Remember, there was a situation in the Chicago game where it looked like, you know, Wainwright wanted to call him off, but it was a situation where Adams said, I just got on the mound. I agreed with the curveball, but when I came to the set position, I didn't have the grip that I needed for that pitch. So he stepped off.
After the game that it was because of a cool day. He just couldn't get a grip at all, and the curveball was the right pitch, and of course they got out of that jam. That was a huge win for the Cardinals early on. Now time called by Terrio. Terrio is flying to left. He's also grounded out to short. Fastball that time.
Good
but again, not over the middle of the plate.
A good fastball in there. He fouls it off. Give Terrio some credit. But because you throw that fastball in that inside part, it really sets up and question, okay, what's he going to do to me now? Is he going to come back with that fastball? Will it be the slider down away or the good down breaking ball?
There's the curveball, backhanded by Pujols. Underhands to Wainwright. Midway through 5, no score. Well, there's no score here in the bottom of 5 in St. Louis. Defense behind some strong pitching for Adam Wainwright.
Leo Green sets up deep in the hole to throw out. Look at this play by Thurston. He snares the ball, gets up and throws him out. How about Schumacher out in shallow right field? And Yachty right here as he gets the force out, he gets a tag play, and they almost turn it into a double play. Got some defensive changes, don't we?
Yeah, Aaron Miles is now into the ball game for Chicago. He's at second base. And I believe that Mike Fontenot now is over at third for Ramirez.
So that's a big loss, taking Ramirez out of this game. There's Fontenot now playing third base.
Molina guides it down the right field line, but that'll slice out of play and foul.
Talked with Lou Piniella last week, and we were talking about missing DeRosa, and he really brought up this situation right now. Remember, Ramirez, prior to the Cardinals coming into town, missed a few days, and he said, I had to put Terry over there at third base. He goes, when I had DeRosa, I didn't lose anything defensively, and I had another plus bat offensively.
20+ home runs.
Yeah, I mean, he had the same amount of home runs as Milton Bradley, who basically replaced him. Now, Aaron Miles and Terrio are good ball players, but they're not going to be the offensive powerhouses like DeRosa or Ramirez.
What made Miles going to Chicago so curious is what the Cardinals did after that. You know, you had a situation where the Cardinals did not have Adam Kennedy come back, and if you knew that at the time, you would think Miles would probably still be here in town.
And Felipe Lopez, they lost before that, who's playing every day for Arizona.
That's ball 4 to Molina, so leadoff walk. And we turn to tonight's Aflac trivia question. Leadoff walk here in the bottom of the 5th for the Cardinals, and Green stepping in. We're the only 3 Cardinal players to have 3 hits, 4 runs, couple of home runs, 3 RBIs, and a stolen base in one game.
Well, we saw one of them do it yesterday.
Yes, we did.
Albert hit his 25th multi-home run game yesterday. Who are the other 2? Tom Guthridge,
one of them,
back in '36, and of course Lou Brock when he had that sensational '67 season, which the Cardinals end up winning the World Championship, didn't they?
Yes, they did. Here is Khalil Green, and Green flied to center first time up. They've got a stat for everything. In baseball, you can dig it up. Hal McRae was saying before the game that he thinks Green is getting really close to having a strong 7 to 10 days because he's becoming more relaxed here in St. Louis. And he also said, as a hitting coach or as a manager, and he's done both, he said you look at the last 7 to 10 games and see if a guy is walking a lot. And he said Green is walking, so that gives me an indication he's getting better and getting closer.
It's one thing I've always looked at is even when a guy is not producing the hits, but when he starts walking, he's seeing the ball much better, and it's just a matter of time before you translate those walks into base hits.
Base hit for Khalil Green. The first 2 have reached, and it brings in Thurston. Thurston struck out his first time up. Ramirez, by the way, left the game due to a left calf strain.
You watch him now. You've seen the ball better this week by accepting walks. Now all of a sudden you recognize pitches in the strike zone, and you pull the trigger and you get good results. This is a key at bat here. You may not get a lot of scoring opportunities against Dempster or their bullpen. So right now, and remember, you've got a good hitting pitcher in Wainwright on deck, and Thurston is an excellent bunter.
Thurston into right center field. That gets down. 1 run will score. That's Molina. The wave in Green. Thurston delivers, and the Cardinals lead it 2 to 0. And Thurston winds up at third.
How about those baseball instincts? His 5th double already in the young season. And he just watched. They had all the relay guys out in the outfield, so he could watch out at second base, and he, really took advantage when the throw home.
This is back in the 2nd inning with a man at second, nobody out, and Derek Lee would ground out to short, can't advance the runner, and now Joe Thurston delivers for the Cardinals.
Just rifles this ball, hit it sharply, goes all the way to the wall, so he's got the double. But they had all the infielders out there, so he stops here, but then he saw that the throw was going to go home, nobody behind him, and he races on to third without a play.
And now you can be very creative here with Wainwright.
Oh, and you got to draw the infield in, and Wainwright is an excellent hitting pitcher.
He pulls that foul. You're not going to get many chances with these 2 on the mound. You have to make the most of it with Dempster and Wainwright.
And their bullpen is still in flux a little bit. So, but Dempster, you recognize that he is a tough competitor. He's a good pitcher out there. This game is at the midway point, and you've got to add on.
Strike 2 on Wainwright. You mentioned the bullpen. Jeff Samardzija was just recalled for the Cubs. The hard-throwing right-hander, the former wide receiver for Notre Dame.
Kind of hard for us to realize how could he be sent down.
Right.
And he was in competition for the 5th spot in the order, and Sean Marshall won that, and then I guess they sent him down, but he can be a weapon coming out of that bullpen.
0-2 on Wainwright. Swing and a miss. Strikeout. It brings in Skip Schumacher with 1 down.
Give Dempster some credit right there. Not a very good at bat, but he carved up Wainwright, and when he needed a strikeout, he got it.
Skip is 1 for 2 in that familiar leadoff spot for the Cardinals tonight. And he has made one of the top plays at second base with his diving catch. And you think about big plays along the way. You know, if he doesn't make that catch, it's 1st and 3rd, nobody out.
Sure.
Base hit into left field in front of Soriano. 3-0 Cardinals. RBI number 8 and his 2nd hit of the night.
3 RBIs in the last 2 days for Schumacher, your leadoff hitter. He hit .340 against right-handed pitching last year, and you just like his chances out there because he sprays the ball around, doesn't strike out a lot, makes contact with the man at 3rd, and you get the bonus of the 3rd run.
Now Dempster just steps off the mound just to collect himself. Schumacher outstanding so far. 2 hits. Great play at second. Here's Ricky Ankiel. 0 for 2 on the night. There's the changeup that time at 84. My visit with Lou Piniella last week, he said one thing you have to know about Wrigley Field, but you can apply it anywhere. We talked about it this week. You can't walk people.
Leadoff walk to Molina, came around to score the 1st run.
And there's another changeup. He's out in front, 0-2. We take it for granted just how an unbelievable story this has turned out to be for Ricky Ankiel. Such promise as a pitcher and now as an everyday center fielder, and he made a remarkable catch in right center yesterday.
2 changeups, got ahead 0-2. Didn't like the slider, wants fastball in.
That's also what Hal McRae was talking about. You touched upon it. These 2 guys, the 2 lefties at the top, Schumacher and Ankiel. He said, watch Dempster try to go up the ladder with these guys.
And, you know, I mean, there have been times, too, when it's not only up the ladder, but hit a quality pitch up and in. Back to the changeup.
Good block, but read by Schumacher on his way to second, diving in, and he's safe. He read that all the way.
You're absolutely right, Dan. Very good base running instincts right there. You take that secondary lead, you're looking in, you see the separation between the ball and the catcher. Really didn't get that far away. Still in the right-hand side of the batter's box, but because with the instincts and the good jump, anticipating that could happen, Schumacher takes off and he gets himself in scoring position. Remember, there's still only 1 out. Base hit to the outfield here, and you got another run.
Big gap in left center. They play him to pull. 2-2 pitch. Fouled back and a good rip from Ricky Ankiel. I wonder what kind of numbers he would have wound up with last year if he could have just stayed healthy.
Hit 25 home runs, then had his season stopped the last couple months with the sports hernia.
Happened on July 26th at Shea Stadium. He was in a 28-game stretch. He was hitting .350 during that time. Got him on the changeup again. Brings in Pujols, but first base is open. Will he see anything to hit? Celebrate the 30th anniversary of Lou Brock's 3,000th career hit Sunday, May 17th, right here at Busch. 25,000 fans, ages 16 and older, receive a Lou Brock replica statue. Get your tickets today by calling 345-9000. You can always go online at stlcardinals.com.
And we showed, you know, Dempster has that split finger grip. And I said how he pushes it all the way back in his hand like a forkball. When he sees the changeup, a lot of times that's going to be that forkball. Or
up the middle. off the mound, and Miles makes the backhanded play in a stretch by Lee. RBI double for Joe Thurston. RBI single to left for Schumacher. After 5, 3-0 St. Louis.
There you can see what we're talking about, the split finger grip. First and middle fingers are split apart, and the bottom just falls out of it. You can change, a split finger fastball is more out on the fingertips. You still get that downward action. But when he throws it with his velocity, you push it further back into the hand to deaden the speed.
We have 2, 3, and 4. But 4 has been changed now because Aramis Ramirez is out of this game with a calf string, so he is out and Miles is in. The 0-1 pitch, a strike at the knees to Kosuke Fukudome. He's 1 for 2 with a strikeout.
This is so important for Adam to go out there and really control this game, pitch the way he's pitched. Now he's got a lead.
Here's a ground ball pulled foul on the breaking ball. Well, Aaron Miles was wondering about the reception he was going to get in his return to Busch Stadium. We're going to hear it momentarily.
Well, I'll tell you right now, we would be shocked if it's nothing but positive. He was fans were so disappointed when he was not retained.
Swing and a miss, a strikeout, number 6. That didn't take much time, and Fukudome struck out twice.
I think they did him a favor by throwing a ball in the middle half the last time up for his base hit. He almost is falling away from home plate, getting into a running gear as the pitch is being made. So anything on the inner half he can hook. Anything away, his bat can't cover it.
When you think about plate coverage, this guy has got it. Wiry body, kind of hangs out over the middle of the plate once the pitch starts coming towards. And there's a strike on the outside corner.
This is what you talk about. When you get that lead, you just go out there with that bulldog attitude and make sure you hold on to it.
Soriano, ground ball to short, and an error on Khalil Green. And it brings in Miles.
Second baseman, Aaron Miles.
A little disappointed.
Crickets.
Going on the Caravan this winter and talking winter warm-up, there were more Cardinal fans upset with the fact that Aaron was not tendered a contract. We're not going to say that because he went to Chicago. He was not tendered a contract, so he was a free agent, and he got an outstanding deal, and we couldn't be happier for him.
3 years with the Cardinals and a .289 career hitter at the start of play here in 2009.
And it was much higher with the Cardinals, including last year a .300 hitter.
And he's hitting .100 right now for Chicago. The switch hitting Aaron Miles.
Much playing time as he's received, he's accustomed to getting much more playing for Tony La Russa.
And he's not at second. Schumacher is for the Cardinals. He's had a heck of a ball game so far. 1-0 pitch to Aaron on the outside corner. 1 ball, 1 strike. Remember at the time, Larry Bigby was the centerpiece of the deal coming back for the Cardinals, and it wasn't Aaron Miles.
No, Aaron was basically a throw-in in that deal, or protection at AAA that made the team every year and played so many different positions and was always ready. Good teammate.
Here's a ground ball, chance at 2. Pujols to second, out there to first. Got him, double play. 3-6-3, double play. Ludwig, Duncan, Molina coming up. Wainwright pitches around the air by Khalil Green. 3-6-3 off the bat of Miles. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest, brought to you by McDonald's. Come into McDonald's today and get any large soft drink or sweet tea for just $1. And by Chrysler, employee pricing plus ends April 30th. Hurry to your Chrysler and Jeep dealers. And a fly ball in right by Fukudome. caught, and Ludwig is retired. And Ryan Ludwig is 1 for 3. Underway here in the bottom of the 6th, and this is Duncan. Duncan 0 for 2.
He had his 13 game, a career best hitting streak stopped on Wednesday.
As Duncan gets the start tonight, Colby Rasmus on the outside looking in. Rasmus 11 for his last 30. 9 runs, 4 walks in his last 9 games. He's played well. 2-0. Of course, Ryan Dempster has been a starter. He has closed games out and then back in the starting rotation a year ago for Chicago in a 17-game winner. As a reliever, he was an all-star. A changeup that time at 80 miles an hour.
That's a very effective weapon against Duncan and Keel. These guys that got power and that don't get cheated at the plate.
Here's a 2-1 pitch. That's another changeup. We saw him carve up Ankiel with that pitch. Very good changeup. Let's see what now he wants to do.
Well, you have to respect his fastball, and you know, you throw that split finger, it kind of looks like a fastball coming out. You don't see the curve or anything. Here's the same pitch again. Time he got it up a little bit so you don't have the tumbling or the, you know, you don't have the downward action like the other ones. You get that, you start that ball about the belt high and it falls out of the strike zone, but it's hard to stop your swing.
2-2. He spoiled the last one. I'll show you some signs here on the right.
Same pitch again.
And he got him.
See, when you get that pitch down, you're in trouble.
So 5 strikeouts for Dempster. We flash back, and this is when he was with the Florida Marlins. His first career start was against Sammy Sosa and the Chicago Cubs, and it lasted all of an inning and a third.
You missed that hop?
Summer of '98 was fun. A lot has changed, obviously, since then. As Molina guides it down the right field line. That's a fair ball, touched by a fan, and a ground rule double. So a ground rule double for Molina. On base for the second time to go along with a walk.
Couple doubles.
The pitch here.
Couple doubles in this game already in the young season. The Cardinals only had 1 game where they didn't have a double, and they've got a lot of extra base hits. One of the reasons why they're scoring so many runs.
Let's see if he makes another 2-out mistake here. Green is 1 for 2. A single back in the 5th and a run scored. Talking with Khalil about the offseason trade to St. Louis the other day, and he said he was quite surprised that St. Louis was his destination. He knew that a trade was coming because of the financial situation with the Padres, but had not heard that the Cardinals were in that conversation, and was pleasantly surprised. He said it's also nice to join Albert Pujols finally. He said that guy just killed us on the other side when I was with the Padres.
You know, Dan, you and I have seen virtually every game he's played in his Albert's career, and I hope fans around the country have some kind of appreciation. You know, once in a generation type hitter.
Well, that's what Green was saying. He's the best I've ever played against and the best I've ever seen.
And then to watch it on a daily basis, you even have a greater appreciation for what Albert does.
And to Green's credit, he said he used to go out early and watch Albert take BP, and does so now, just trying to pick up little things that Pujols does in his preparation. 2-1 pitch. Stayed away, 2-2. We visited this the other night, but his numbers at Clemson were just awesome when he was a college player. Khalil Green.
College Player of the Year, and so many different awards, all saying the same thing.
He was born in Pittsburgh, grew up a Pirates fan, even though he grew up in Florida. Born in Pittsburgh, but grew up in Florida. 2-2 the count with 2 outs.
Kind of interesting how the Cubs defense him, because we've seen a lot of clubs just look at him as a pull hitter, and they have the outfield really playing him around to the opposite field. Big gap out in left center. The infield, pretty much straight away, but you can see not exaggerate on the left side. If a ground ball, they're not playing it like he's going to pull that either.
2-2 on Khalil Green. Runner at second is Molina. And that's the pitch that you would take to right if he decided to go after it.
And that's the pitch too that when you're not swinging the bat well, you go fishing for that one and you come up empty. But when you're on the verge of having some success, that is the pitch that you kind of lay off. And right now 3-2 pitch. We'll see if they don't throw something off speed, trying to get him to chase.
3-2 pitch off speed. So Green strikes out. We head to the 7th. 3-0 St. Louis in game 1.
And welcome back. As got a good ball game here. Adam Wainwright, the 3-hit shutout through the first 6 innings, and Tony's just put in his defensive team. Schumacher moves from second base to left field. Thurston from third base to second base, and Bryden Barden is now playing third base.
Well, the Cardinals have already had 1 complete game with Kyle Loge on a Sunday afternoon. And there's a base hit up the middle as Wainwright, his pitch count is approaching 80, but he has been so efficient here tonight. Cardinal fans, when it comes to tickets, you deserve Major League Service, so go online to StubHub. It's the official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of the Cardinals and the only site with Fan Protect guarantee.
And there's a case of Adam just trying to throw a strike, get a head pitch. And really, if you look at it, as you see the pitch count inning by inning, that many times you will find that first pitch strike rarely is put in play. More times than not, it's like that. It's taken or they foul it off. There's just the timing on that first pitch is a little bit off. And so it's such an advantage for a pitcher to always get ahead in the count.
Cardinals about hit the Cubs 7-5. They lead it 3-0. Another breaking ball lined in the left center. Back-to-back hits. Lee on his way to third. And Derek Lee will be waved in. Relay to the plate, not in time. And the Cubs get on the board. It's 3-1. A double RBI for Mike Fontenot, his 5th ribby. Let's go pitch by pitch. The go-ahead breaking ball, or get-ahead, I should say, and then the go-ahead hit here for Fontenot in this at-bat to line it into left center.
There's a good ahead breaking ball, and then another one. This one stays up a little bit. They had the defense in center field. Ankiel was playing over to right, so a long run into left center, got to the wall, and produced the RBI double.
Al, if you're Wainwright, you're thinking, okay, bottom of this lineup, so I can get out of this jam.
That's when you really have to bear down. And I mean, you always bear down in the lower half because that's the area where you should dominate. Those lower third, you always want to dominate against them, and that's where you find your outs. But it's so many times a pitcher kind of goes out there and takes it for granted and said, okay, this is going to be an easy inning. It's the opposite. That's where you bear down even more.
Runner at second. Here's Soto. 1 ball, 1 strike. A right-hander getting loose in the Cubs bullpen. No activity for the Cardinals. Dempster's spot is due up with Soto, Johnson, and then Dempster.
Aaron Heidelman, who we seem like we saw every day in Chicago.
Ooh, good pitch. It doesn't get the call. 2-1. Yankees lead Boston 4-2. That's in the bottom of the 7th. A 2-1 pitch. 3-1.
Slow things down a little bit. Take a little stroll, trying to regroup. Make a real quality pitch in the hitter's count.
Fox Saturday Baseball tomorrow. Eric Karros, who you saw in our pregame show, will have the call along with Tom Brenneman. And a walk. So a single, double, now a walk, and it brings in Reed Johnson.
Sailing along until this 7th inning, and 2 base hits and a walk in a 2-run game. Potential go-ahead run is at home plate.
Johnson was robbed by Thurston at third. As Bart now calls time, the third baseman.
You don't
the defense here.
Yeah, you don't know. Are they going to sacrifice, try to put both runners in scoring position? Nobody out.
Yeah, this is where we see Pujols and Molina so aggressive. Pujols charging, and a lot of times you'll see him glove and throw to third for that force.
A lot of times where you're trying to sneak in behind that guy, you got a pickoff play at second, try and keep him close. They aren't sure if it's a bunt play anyway.
The strike.
Caught a break there.
That's big right there.
Yeah.
To get that first strike in this kind of situation.
Yeah, because the more strikes and you hit behind the count, it may take away the bunt situation or make it a little more predictable for the defense.
And Barton had to check with Wainwright as they set the defense as to whether or not he stays put. Wainwright then goes towards the third base line, and Pujols charges with Thurston covering it first.
The hitter wants, if the bunt is on, bunt it hard enough to get by the pitcher and make the third baseman come in.
Same pitch on the outside corner. 0-2.
Breaking ball here, and Reed Johnson just can't pull the trigger. He's got happy feet, doesn't he?
Sure does. Nobody out. Runners at first and second.
Now you see Barton play back a little bit. He plays back instead of out in front of the grass. 0-2 count. He plays back.
0-2. Fly ball, shallow center. Thurston can't come up with it. But a force play at second, safe. And the bases will be loaded. Nobody out.
Almost a heck of a play by Thurston. The second baseman running back on that ball. His back completely to the infield, reaching out and trying to backhand the ball, and just beyond his glove. Ankiel had no chance, and the ball was just not hit hard enough to get out to him. Tried to get the force play there. And now the Cub fans are getting a little excited as Molina is going to talk, and Dave Duncan will come out and join the discussion. Micah Hoffpower is going to pinch hit here. I like the way this guy swings the bat, too.
With Bradley on the bench, Hoffpower's played a lot in right. And so he has seen a lot of action already for Lou Piniella. Now, Adam Wainwright had this situation in Chicago. You might remember it was the 6th inning of that game with the bases loaded, nobody out.
And I think we saw some pretty good pitching under those extreme conditions, didn't we?
Yes, we did. So bases loaded, nobody out for Hoffpower. There's 1 home run, 5 RBIs. Went 3 for 11 last week against the Cardinals in Chicago. And no activity right now for the Cardinals.
Well, there is now
in their bullpen.
That Mott getting up. Jason Mott.
Good pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike. Yeah, Mott getting loose. Tony La Russa was asked about Mott in his office today, and he said, you take away the first couple of times where he had location mistakes. We've been very pleased with him.
Yeah, the first 2 outings, of course, they were the more dramatic save situations. It was a good pitch.
Who wants it? Schumacher calls for it and dropped it. A run will score. An error on Schumacher. You rarely see that.
No, you don't. He had so much time waiting for it, and he just forgot to really look it in the glove, one-handed it, put the other hand up there. It's easier for the exchange, but he had too much time to think about it. gets underneath it. Wainwright thinks he's got it out without them scoring a run, and he should have. But just one of those rare drop balls by Schumacher. And isn't it, Schumacher is so hard on himself and wants to make all these pitchers look good playing second base, and now he goes to his normal position where he's an excellent outfielder. Just a simple thing, and he misplays a ball.
Off the end of the bat and a foul ball. Rarely, if ever, we'll see that from Schumacher in the outfield.
The pitcher's responsibility, and Schumacher and Adam Wainwright are as close as anybody on the team. That Schumacher feels horrible, whether it's Adam or any pitcher, but you know, you've got to sit there and say, okay, don't let it drag on, because I might make the game-saving catch for the next time. But Adam has a responsibility too to pick up his teammates, and he's going to have to get 4 outs this inning. Don't complicate it, just go out and attack the hitters.
This is Terrio. Bases loaded, still nobody out. Inning started with a single up the middle by Lee. Then Fontenot would reach with a double and a run scored. Soto walked. Johnson the single to load him up, and the error by the left fielder Schumacher. Watching Schumacher now, and you see him walking around with his head down a little bit. He feels awful.
Oh, of course he does. But you know, that's, and you know, this is one thing, and we would never ever expect to see him miss such an easy fly ball. You know, it's so atypical of a Skip Schumacher and his, you know, heads-up play. But it's over.
Here's a ground ball. Double play ball, steps on the bag over to first, and this game is tied at 3-3. But this could keep it from being a bigger inning to get that double play.
Well, obviously everyone knows the inning should be over and the Cardinals still should have a lead, but that's not the case. So Adam still has to bow his neck and make sure that he gets back, his team gets back on offense with a 3-3 tie.
And this game now has been extended for Wainwright, who's approaching 100 pitches. He is due up second for Tony La Russa, and you do have the right-hander Mott getting loose in the pen. Here's Fukudome. He has struck out twice.
Ball away from him. You're going to run it in, run it, get ahead in the count, and run it way in off the plate. So if he hits it, you know, because he's falling away from it, if he hits it, the only thing you do is hook it foul. And then you get him out away again.
Two outs, runner at third. 2 balls, no strikes.
Second hitter is Wainwright, and Mott continues to throw. He has extended and got to the 7th inning for the first time. He'll do it hopefully under 100 pitches.
Outfield is straight away. 2 balls, no strikes on Kosuke Fukudome. And time is called. The single was back in the 4th to go along with his 2 strikeouts. The 2-0. 3-0. And Alfonso Soriano is on deck.
Can't battle back.
Swinging away, broke his bat, left center, catch made by Rick Ankiel. 3-3, and it's time to stretch at Busch Stadium. Bud Light, what's on tap? The difference is drinkability. Our next game locally on Fox Sports Midwest will be on Monday, and then on Sunday it'll be Ricky Horton and Jay Randolph. Sunday at 1 on KSDK. Two errors for the Cardinals, one of those costly.
Well, the 3 runs scored, only 1 was earned against Wainwright. And with Kyle McClellan warming up, we think that both these starters are out of the game. We know that Dempster's out as Aaron Heidelman is appearing for the 10th time. Already 2-0 with 3 holds and ERA just over 1.
Looks like McClellan now is up and getting loose for the Cardinals. A record of 2-0 for Heilman. And here's Joe Thurston. RBI double back in the 5th that brought 2 in for the Cardinals. And that pitch is taken low. Adam Wainwright is on deck.
May depend if Thurston gets on. You can still have him sacrifice. You got a short bench carrying 13 men, or he could be just up there hitting either way. But Tony was hopefully that, you know, the Cardinals can take a lead and let him swing away and not use another bench guy.
2-1. Texas beat Baltimore tonight 5-4. Minnesota over Cleveland 5-1. Those are the 2 finals in baseball so far. The 2-1 pitch to Thurston. Gets underneath it with a high fly ball into right. Fukudome.
See, Adam will hit for himself even if he comes out of this game, because you know you only have 4 bench players to start the game. You use Barden in this game, so you're only down to 3. You're in a tie ball game late. You know, you might need one of those position players later on.
And you know, one of the 3 left is your backup catcher.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
that's LaRue. So you're essentially left with Brendan Ryan and Colby Rasmus. So 1 out, nobody on.
You just want to make sure they communicate to the bullpen as McClellan is standing there on the mound, not throwing. What is the strategy?
And Blaine Boyer takes to the mound for the Cardinals. He'll be the 13th pitcher used this year, and he is available. Tony La Russa wanted to use him in the ball game yesterday. But he said the 9th was getting a little too eventful for him with what was coming up, so Boyer did not make that appearance in the 9th inning. 2 balls and 1 strike. Adam could get into one. You never know.
That's right. He has 3 career home runs, including hitting a home run in his first major league win out in San Francisco.
Here's a 3-1 pitch to Adam Wainwright.
This would kind of defy all of our strategy if he walked him here and then you used Brendan Ryan to pinch run or Rasmus to pinch run.
But I'm trying to think who's a pitcher that you could get to pinch run, I guess.
Pinheiro used to do it, but Adam's such a good athlete. You know, you're not afraid to let him run for himself.
Taps it back to Heilman. He'll step and throw, and it brings in Skip Schumacher. So 2 outs. Skip Schumacher with an RBI tonight.
And Adam
a couple of base hits.
Adam is through for the night as Kyle McClellan is throwing again. So not wanting to use one of your short bench, he hits for himself.
It was about this time last year where Schumacher had a walk-off home run win against the Cubs here at Busch Stadium.
Wasn't that the theme in the Open, where we showed some walk-off Cardinal victories against the Cubbies?
Yeah, a lot of different varieties. Gary Bennett's grand slam, Schumacher's home run, a walk by Mike Matheny with the bases loaded, a squeeze play by David Eckstein, and a ground ball hit to second. Heilman, a solid 7th inning. Soriano leads it off when we come back. It's 3-3. Well, we had a pitcher's duel here tonight with the starters Ryan Dempster and Adam Wainwright. 3-3 as we move to the 8th. A look at the lines as both starters are now out of the ball game. Adam Wainwright, see the no earned runs. A couple of errors behind him. May change though as our Chevrolet call to the bullpen brings us to Kyle McClellan. And I think what's probably going to happen there, Al, is that it'll be one earned run charged to Adam Wainwright. Soriano on his way to second with a leadoff double. Take a look from the crouched position, and he just explodes into the swing.
You describe him wiry, bent over the top, but when he starts his swing, ball just explodes off his bat. He gets up on the backside, gets that weight there, and that arm extension, and just, you know, the ball just jumps. He's got surprising power for a guy that's not that big.
And there you have Miles in a sacrifice situation here. We're in the 8th, and now time called with Molina and McClellan. McClellan has been very good for the Cardinals.
Had a very good game on Tuesday where he pitched a couple good innings.
Crowd of 45,812 here tonight. Sold out crowd. The numbers for McClellan. Last time he saw the Cubs, it was 2 scoreless innings in that key win for St. Louis. Strike 1 on Miles. Aaron Miles into the ball game at second base, and they had to move Fontenot over to third because Aramis Ramirez left with a strained left calf.
For the first time in 23 years, the Cubs opened the season without a man on the disabled list.
Isn't that something?
The rarity of today when you can have a full roster. You know, the manager, I think you just expect to have 3 or 4 guys on there. You know, like the Cardinals have Jaime Garcia, who had the shoulder surgery a year ago, and still on the disabled list.
And Molina's only play is to fire to first. And Soriano now at third base with only 1 down. So sacrifice was good. 2-3 on the sacrifice.
Well, you've got to make sure you get an out, and Barton has to come in here, so nobody at third base, and you just expect that a guy like Miles is going to get the job done. Shortstop went to second. Second baseman backing up the play if you know, or ready if Albert was charging.
There's Derek Lee, and the infield is in. Lee really got things going last inning with a leadoff single and came around to score on the double by Mike Fontenot. Got the Cubs on the board. Infield in, the outfield straight away for Derek Lee. This is where you need the strikeout.
Well, we'll see what happens in this situation. You can't strike somebody out until you get 2 strikes, but you think about keeping the ball in the infield. And I think Molina's also going to remind you, is like, don't let too much over the plate. You know, try to get him to get himself out. You know, obviously, if you don't want to intentionally put a guy on, but if you pitch ball behind the count, he won't fall into your trap and swing at a pitch off the plate. It does set up a double play ball.
2-1.
Now, that's a pitch there that before you get 2 strikes, it can produce a pop-up on the infield.
Line drive caught by Barton.
Wow. Hanging curveball and a rocket, but right at Barton. We talked about how good his defense has been. He came in for defense as Thurston goes from third to second base, and right now he makes another. You know, it's not the toughest play, but that ball's hit so sharply, and he just entered the game an inning to go, and he comes up with, he makes the play. That's the key point.
Still 1 more to go with 2 outs. There's the curveball. We haven't seen a real consistent curve yet from Kyle McClellan. Mike Fontenot struck out twice against Wainwright and doubled back in the 7th. The Cardinals looking ahead. If they can keep this thing tied, they have the heart of the lineup coming up. Ankiel, Pujols, and Ludwig. Over 45,000 here tonight at Busch Stadium. Standing room only. Game 1 between the Cardinals and the Cubs. 2 balls and a strike.
The breaking ball there, it's elevated and up, but It fooled Fontenot, and he couldn't pull the trigger.
That breaking ball not as sharp as we have seen.
But that's also, there's a much better one.
Better is right.
But, you know, to Fontenot's credit, you know, 2-0 and you get kind of a breaking ball, you're geared for a fastball, you probably should take it.
And a huge pitch now in this ball game is right here, 2-2.
Crowd will get into it now from the Cardinals side on the 2-2 pitch. Strand that runner out there. Here's the curveball again.
Got him. Struck him out. Big bats coming up. Let's take a look at the game recap. The Cardinals and the Cubs in game one of this three-game series here from Busch. And the starters were outstanding on both sides. Adam Wainwright and Ryan Dempster, one of the top plays defensively made by Skip Schumacher, while at second. Joe Thurston with an RBI double in this ball game to score a couple, and the misplay by Schumacher in left. The Cubs would tie it up with 3 runs. Carlos Zambrano loved it, chewing on some seeds, and we've got a 3-3 game here in the bottom of the 8th.
And Marmol will come into this ball game. They don't get much tougher than Carlos Marmol, who's appearing for the 9th time already.
Al, he's been great.
He's got 2 saves. He picked up a save against St. Louis and also blew a save against St. Louis. But getting into these games, we expect these are 2 teams that are going to be challenging for the Central Division all season long. They should be very competitive, and this game is.
First pitch to Rick Ankiel is taken for a ball outside. Remember Ankiel against Dempster in that last at bat, Al. It'll be interesting to see what happens here and how they approach him, but it was the changeup that got him from Dempster.
Of course, Marmol's got a much better fastball. You know, Dempster's is no slouch, but this is high octane. This is breaking balls. You know, you're talking about really against Rick. You know, that is a big weapon. You hang it, and he can do a lot of damage with it. But you've got to look fastball off from Marmol.
The count is 1-1. Ankiel here, Pujols on deck. Into center, that'll stay in the ballpark. And it brings in Albert Pujols. This Cap Ready telecast is presented by the authority of the St. Louis Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. Pujols tonight with a base hit back in the 4th. He's 1 for 3. 3 for 15 against Marmol.
I didn't like that call, but 2 sliders to start out the inning. Two sliders to Ankiel, and then threw a fastball that he popped out. You've got to look fastball, because if you're looking slider, you can't adjust to the fastball. Couldn't catch up to it. Another slider.
Up the middle. Base hit. The go-ahead run is on.
Not hit particularly well, but effectively right back over the mound and through. As Miles tries to make a great effort for it, but comes up empty.
Marmol lost his glove. And here's Ludwig. Nobody getting loose in the Cardinal bullpen, so McClellan, at least at this point, would pitch the 9th, but that all could change.
Now, that's one thing about Kyle, is the way he was used in spring training, you also stretched out a little bit, so it gives you a good option to go multiple innings. But by doing so, you run the risk of losing him for the weekend.
If you took the lead, though, you probably, we say probably, not for sure, would see Ryan Franklin.
Another slider.
Pujols is running. Throw down to second. Stolen base for Pujols.
About Albert, he had He had a stolen base yesterday, and that's his 3rd of the season. You steal him off the pitcher. And Marmol was concentrating on Ludwig, and Albert picks him. Foot gets in there ahead of the tag.
Ludwig, a ground ball up the middle. Here comes Albert. He'll score. And the Cardinals are back on top. 4-3, and they do it against one of the best relievers right now in the National League, and Carlos Marmol.
19th RBI for Ludwig to go along with the 21. So that's 40 RBIs between Pujols and Ludwig. How big is the stolen base? Gets himself into scoring position. Now another base hit. Not hit particularly hard. A slider just making contact right back up the middle. And defensively, Terrio can't catch up with it. And Albert, when he's in second base, he's in scoring position and comes through with another run scored.
Just all the little things that Albert Pujols does in the course of a game. Barton trying to bunt. It's popped up and foul. And now Ryan Franklin getting loose for the 9th.
Well, there you are. Take the lead, and you bring in Franklin, who's been very good in that closer's role. Perfect to date. Kind of like that, you know. Barton almost thinking about, let me see if I can pick Fontenot, you know, the second baseman out there, you know, playing third base now, drop down a bunt.
And Barton is hit by the pitch. So Ludwig will move into scoring position. And a chance for Yadier Molina. This is where Molina, Al, has been so good this year. And not only is he hitting for average, but when he gets a chance to do some damage and drive some runners in, he's done it.
Yeah, and Rothschild out to talk to Marmol, calm him down a little bit. That slider just got away from him when he hit Barton. But, you know, you get Molina out there. He is such a good contact hitter. Yes, if he hits the ball on the ground, they can turn 2 and get out of the inning. But we've seen him so adept at hitting the ball to the opposite field. And look how they're going to play him defensively. Look where you know Derek Lee is playing so far off the line and playing back to guard against that ball that he hits to right field.
He's so good at going to right. Might get that slider and just go right with it. They set up on the outside portion of the plate. And he pulls one foul.
I could see a scenario where the Cubs playing so far behind Barton at first base, and he gets such a tremendous lead that they can't get the force out at second and go and get it out at first.
The Cubs will have Soto, Johnson, and then Marmol's spot due up.
And now they're going to check and see. This is injury. As you'll see, Rothschild first tells the home plate umpire, we want to check. This is not our second visit. We want to check and make sure he's okay.
They could ill afford to lose Marmol.
It looks like his leg is something on the lower part of his left leg, I believe, or knee or ankle. And picking up the left leg, you see him after that limping a little bit.
Nobody throwing right now in the Cubs bullpen. Remember, Marmol came in as a co-closer in many ways, if you want to look at that, with Kevin Gregg, who they picked up from Florida.
That's not.
Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Bud Light Lime, the drinkability of Bud Light with the refreshing taste of lime. By Bank of America, Cardinals banking only at Bank of America. And by your St. Louis area Hyundai dealers. Always a home run with America's best warranty, and now Hyundai Assurance. New lease on life for Skip Schumacher.
He's such a respected teammate that, you know, he's beaten himself up more than anybody else in that white uniform. That's just the way he feels. That he made the crucial error, cost a couple runs, eventually put him in a position to tie the game. Marmol says he's okay. That's the Cubs assistant trainer out there, not their Mark O'Neill, who is a former Cardinal trainer and a good one. And we always want to say hello to his parents back in Arkansas. Lou was inside for a while, so that's why he's a little late to the party trying to understand what's going on. The training staff wants to have him removed, I think. Marmol wants to stay in the ball game, and now Lou coming out there, he'll take the advice of his trainer and say, give me the ball. You can show me your knee later. But you got to, it's a long season. You got to err on the side of caution.
And he's vital for them. And as we talked about, no one was getting loose.
And they still haven't designated Lou. You got to tell which one of those guys you want. Of course, I remember Lou's going, who do we want out there? Who's warming up? Nobody's warming up. They still have maybe somebody else went to the bathroom.
This is Guzman. This will be our Chevy called to the bullpen. The righty Guzman will come in. There'll be a count of no balls and a strike on Yadier Molina. And now he can't get out of the bullpen. Someone's got to help him. Let him loose. Well, he'll take his time getting loose.
He finally got the mound as he was throwing from behind the mound, and because of coming on to an injury, he'll be given all the time he needs to warm up. It's appearing for the 9th time. You see that 1-0 record. That was his first major league victory against the Cardinals last weekend in that 11th inning victory. So Guzman, who missed the majority of 2007 and 8 seasons recovering a Tommy John ligament replacement surgery.
The Cardinals are riding their 7-game home winning streak, trying to make it 8. They lead it 4-3. Cardinals about to hit Chicago 9-8. They now lead it 4-3. Let's take a look at the Hardy's prime cut of the game.
It's a ground ball up the middle that scores Albert Pujols with the go-ahead run. Then a hit by pitch by Barden brings up this scenario as Guzman comes in for the injured Marmol. 0-1 count to Molina.
And Franklin actually sat down while Guzman was getting loose. Now he's back up on the mound in the Cardinal bullpen. This crowd is electric here in St. Louis. Off speed pitch in there for a strike. This is his 10th season in the Cubs organization. Angel Guzman has been parts of the previous 3 campaigns on the Major League roster. 0-2 pitch to Yadier Molina. Feels like summer again. Cardinals, Cubs, sold out, warm weather.
Afternoon temperatures, 89 degrees. That sounds like summer. And it's going to be a fun one here in St. Louis. This team is very competitive. Won, what, 7 straight home games?
Molina just throws the bat at it to stay alive. Did that in Chicago where he threw the bat at it to stay alive, and then he would deliver.
Well, he's so tough to strike out, and doesn't go up there trying to swing for the fences, tries to make contact with 2 strikes. In that case, pitcher's pitch, and he just foiled it off with whatever he had to do to keep to foul off the pitch. Waiting for the mistake, the 0-2 mistake.
Runners at first and second. The next to Molina. Hit to the right side. Miles will go to second. Out there on the first, double play. We head to the 9th. The Cardinals, though, thanks to Ludwig and a steal from Pujols. They lead it 4-3.
We go to the ninth at Busch Stadium. Cardinals over the Cubs 4-3. Don't forget, coming up after the game on the post-game edition of U.S. Cellular, Cardinals Live. Pat Paris and Rick Horton are at Lumiere Place. They'll break down tonight's effort by Adam Wainwright. They'll look at the good and bad of Cardinal defense tonight. Plus, we'll have post-game reaction from Tony La Russa and the Cardinal clubhouse. It's all coming up after the game. For now, we send it back to Dan and Al. Gentlemen.
All right, Jim, good job. Thanks. Here is Franklin, and he'll try to get the save for the Cardinals here in this ninth inning. They lead it 4-3 over the Chicago Cubs. This will be his 8th appearance, and so far so good. He's 4 of 4 in save opportunities.
See opponents batting 125 against him. 6-1 strikeout to walk ratio. He has been very good in this situation, and I think because of the winter, he knew there was a possibility to be a closer. He's much more.
Cardinals score 6. You can get a 20-ounce coffee or frozen drink for 25 cents the next day. On the run at Mobile. Here's Soto. First pitch, a strike. Franklin has so many different pitches that he can go to. Makes that hitter think. The 36-year-old veteran that's been around a long time. Tied for 5th in the National League with his 4 saves. That's on the inside corner.
He's very aggressive in the strike zone. He has good command. And, last year, he came here as a setup guy and did an excellent job because the splitter, looks like, wants it down, and it was. He had the count. But, because of Izzy's problems, he inherited the closer's role, and he had more saves than anybody on the staff. He was really uncomfortable when Izzy came back to the club and doing the closer role with Izzy sitting there. Slider.
1-2 pitch to Soto. Got him. Check swing. No.
Pitch wasn't that far off either, but I think this year, going in and preparing himself this winter, as we take a look at this last pitch, says he checked his swing, and always on a replay it's going to look like he goes there. Go back with the slider again.
The 2-2 pitch. Got him that time. Soto strikes out.
Check is out there with the slider and up a little bit more, but a swing and a miss through it. But I think with the possibility that he knew he could be the closer, I think he prepared himself much better. Really did a remarkable job in my mind with all the talk of Perez and Mott and all these guys. He never said a word, but he was mentally prepared for the closer.
Reed Johnson. And look who is moved to the on-deck circle, Milton Bradley.
So all strike, getting ahead. Another slider. Lena wants it down.
0-1 pitch. 0-2. Could see where Molina wanted it, and Franklin hit his spot again.
Molina looking to make sure he doesn't peak and then get the ball down there. Fouls it off. Bounce it again. This is a sinker, but he see the low target.
Got him. Strikeout of Reed Johnson.
Reed Johnson might have had a legitimate gripe on saying that was low.
A look at our player of the game, presented by Budweiser. Budweiser, the great American lager. What a fun night here at the ballpark. And we'll give it to Albert Pujols. Couple of base hits, 2 for 4. But the key play, the stolen base for Pujols, and here is Milton Bradley.
Cardinal fans on their feet. Some booing. I'm not sure that's Cub fans or Cardinal fans.
Be careful with Milton Bradley. He does have 1 home run. Bradley not playing every day. Lou Piniella has said if he's not 100%, he won't be in that starting lineup.
Has a destroying groin muscle, which kept him out of the starting lineup, and a very slow start for him on the year.
He's 1 for 23. 1-0 pitch.
First batter that Franklin has not gotten ahead of, and now falling behind 2-0. Switch hitter. Had 26 home runs a year ago. So you respect that power. But you don't want to walk anybody either.
Outfield is deep. The 2-0 pitch to Milton Bradley. And Bradley had the big at bat against Wainwright. His previous start against the Cubs at Wrigley Field with the bases loaded. He was called out on strikes.
Sinker.
On deck, Terrio. Swinging away and slices one foul on 3-0.
That's what you like about Franklin, that he has such excellent control. If he falls behind an account, you don't just chalk up a walk. He can battle all the way back. Slider.
And Bradley walks. Tying run is on. Go ahead run comes to the plate. So a 2-out walk.
I'm not crazy about a 3-1 slider to a left-handed hitter throwing it where it got to come into him.
I agree with you.
I'd rather see that sinker, and now they'll get a pinch runner.
It'll be Gathright who can fly.
Yeah. Bradley with the groin strain. Use Gathright, who from the left side of the plate, they've clocked him at 3-3 to first base.
There was a steal by Albert Pujols in the bottom of the 8th that set up Albert scoring the potential winning run on a base hit by Ludwig.
Well, one thing about Franklin, another real plus, is he is very tough to steal against. Very quick feet, pays strict attention to those runners at first, and anybody that gives Molina a chance to throw, you're going to see Molina have an excellent chance to throw him out.
Terrio 2 for 12 against Franklin. And he falls behind here. 1 ball, no strikes.
A little surprising with a pretty good jump that you can see that at least that first delivery, Franklin not throwing to first, but really paying too much attention and giving too much credit to the runner at first base, and kind of didn't have full concentration of the plate.
Franklin does have a quick move to first. Like that. Oh.
That's what I'm saying. He is very tough to steal against, and this combination may be one of the best in the league, with Franklin and his quickness, keeping runners there, and Molina, his shotgun arm. He's got the best percentage in the major leagues of throwing out base stealers.
He's not running, and the pitch is taken for a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike with 2 outs. Gathright at first. Terrio, no home runs, 5 RBIs. He's grounded out 3 different times. He's also flied out to left. They're on their feet. 45,812 here at Busch Stadium. Strike 2. Cubs down to their final strike.
And a guy like Terrio at the plate too, you don't have to worry about keeping the ball down. As a matter of fact, you get the ball up and make him hit it in the air. He doesn't have the power to hit it out. So you just make him hit it out to the deepest part of the field. The ground ball could go through. A fly ball more than likely ends up caught. There's a slider.
Long look by Franklin. He may not even come to the plate.
Now you can see right there, watching Gathright, guy holding the ball. You have that base stealer just kind of takes the tension and the spring out of his legs, and all of a sudden he doesn't feel comfortable out there with his lead. He comes back. Be another throw to first base.
It hits the umpire, and the Cardinals catch a break.
Big break right there. As the ball hit the first base umpire, and instead of that ball being down the line and the runner being at third base, he stays at first.
And somehow Gathright doesn't advance either. He got tangled up with Pujols.
Boy, he would look like he would have been out, and then you see Yeah, he would have been out clearly as he never got to the bag as Albert's glove stopped him. Right now, you've thrown over there a couple times. You come this area. You got 2 strikes on the hitter. That runner's not. He's going to sit there. He's going to have a slower lead. Just get the hitter. Fastball in.
The 1-2 pitch by Franklin. Line drive center field. Cardinals win it. They take game 1. 4-3 the final. Fun night here at the ballpark. 4-3 our final.
The game is over with a Cardinals victory. We're just getting started here at the Aqua Bar at Lumiere Place with U.S. Cellular Cardinals Live. Rick, 8 straight at home.
And another great Cubs-Cardinal game. The fans got a beautiful game to see today. Very close one. Ryan Franklin finishing it out. But Albert Pujols does something extraordinary again.
Which is spectacular. More on that coming up. Plus, of course, we will break down the evening that was. The Cardinals and the Cubs, the first one at Wrigley Field of the year. Did the Redbirds fare better than they did at Wrigley? Plus, Adam Wainwright on the mound for the first time in a week. Could he make it 10 straight for the starting staff? And we'll take you inside the Cardinal clubhouse for player reaction. Tony La Russa's comments as well. Happy birthday, Kelly Clarkson. Since you've been gone, I'm so moving on to U.S. Cellular Cardinals Live, a 4-3 victory over the Cubs.
Cellular Cardinals Live.
Line drive center field.
Ryan Franklin on to close it out with 2 outs. He gets Ryan Terry on a line out to center field, and the Cardinals hold on for the 4-3 victory tonight over the Chicago Cubs. That's 8 straight for the Redbirds at Busch Stadium. On a gorgeous night in downtown St. Louis, following a Redbirds win against the rival Cubs, it's the Aqua Bar at the main entrance to the casino inside Lumiere Place, the site of every Friday and Saturday night home game on Fox Sports Midwest. Hello, everybody. Welcome inside the Aqua Bar at Lumiere Place with the former lefty reliever and starter of the Cardinals, Ricky Horton. I'm Pat Paris. It is U.S. Cellular Cardinals Live. Coming up, Ricky's going to break this one all down. We'll go inside the Cardinal clubhouse, bring you Tony La Russa's comments back at Busch Stadium, hear from our player of the game as well. And it's Friday night. That means Hungo is going to hand out the Hungo Award. Exactly right. Remember, well, let's start with you, Ricky. Quick comment about this one. Just enough pitching, I guess, and just enough timely hitting to get the win tonight.
And let's give some credit to the Cardinal bullpen as well tonight. They basically beat the Cubs in a 2-inning game after the starters were evenly matched. Dempster, Wainwright, great matchup. Both of them probably could have fared a little better, but it came down to what happened in the last 2 innings of this game, and the Cardinal bullpen was better.
Let's get the folks watching at home involved as well. It's always U.S. Cellular text time. Remember the number 432-432 for your comment or question for Rick or myself. Remember to include your first name where you're texting from that message. Standard text messaging rates, of course, do apply. Let's head back over to Busch Stadium right now. Our Jim Hayes just moments ago catching up with Ryan Ludwig. He's our Mid-America Chevrolet Dealers Player of the Game. Jim?
A couple of base hits in this one for Ryan Ludwig, including an RBI single in the 8th that brought home what proved to be the game-winning run. Before you did that, Albert Pujols stole second base. That guy does whatever it takes to win, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's unbelievable the way he's running the bases this year. It's phenomenal. He just all around the whole game. He does everything well.
Skip Schumacher has been very good at second. An error in this one that was costly. I know you guys wanted to take him off the hook.
Yeah, of course. You know, Skippy's he plays hard as he can every day, and pretty much all our teams that way, and it's a lot of fun. We come to the field every day and we have a lot of fun, and things are working out right now.
I know you guys are confident whoever is in the back end of the bullpen, but Ryan Franklin seems to have grabbed the closer spot. He's got some nasty stuff.
Oh, he did outstanding. That was a big win. He did an outstanding job. Bueno did an outstanding job. The whole staff, the whole team, just a big win.
Big win because it's the Cubs and you guys win the first game in the series. How important is that?
It's big, you know. Another tight game in late innings. They got us twice in Chicago. Chicago. We came back, got them once here, and, you know, we'll get back after it tomorrow.
Good job, Brian. Appreciate
Thank
it. Ryan Ludwig, we send it back to you, Pat.
All right, Jim, thank you very much. You know, Rick, when you're looking at Pujols and Ludwig, and we'll break these guys down a little more closely later on, but there's something special going on here, and I think we're fortunate to get to see it ourselves in person.
Well, we talk a lot about Albert Pujols, and we should, but who's second in the National League in RBIs? Ryan Ludwig, and that RBI in this game, obviously the big one, the game winner, but Ryan Ludwig is proving to be a force. No, he's not on Albert's level, but you know, he's very, very good, and he's an all-star.
He's an all-star.
And could be again.
He could be, and the way he's playing, he likely will be if he can keep that up, and there might be more all-stars, as we talked about earlier in the week, from this Cardinals team to stay right home here at Busch Stadium in mid-July. Let's get back now to Busch Stadium. Time for a view from the booth. It's Dan McLaughlin, Al Roboski, ready to put a wrap on this one, and great bullpen work, especially by that closer. Oh, I don't know if we can call him a closer, but he closed out the game again tonight.
Well, right now he is 5 for 5, Pat. Thank you very much, Al. You did this for the better part of your career. It's one of the toughest jobs in the game of baseball. That's closing games out, and Ryan Franklin looks pretty darn good right now.
Well, one of the things you got to be is you have to have teammates to put you in position to have a lead in the 9th inning, and so there were a lot of stars in this game to get Ryan Franklin to that spot. We feel very comfortable with him because he has so many weapons. He has the ability to throw strikes and to hit his spots. So and we're going to look at the Reed Johnson at bat. Gets ahead with a fastball up out over the middle of the plate. Then he comes back with a slider down and away, fouls it off 0-2, and then watch how he paints down and in. Low target from Molina right there for the called strike. As you said, 5 for 5, and so important to get this first victory in this very, very entertaining weekend series with the Cubbies.
If you're the Cubs, you're Lou Piniella, you're a little concerned about Carlos Marmol. Had to leave this game, and he's a vital part to their bullpen.
Yeah, they have a little concern with their bullpen, but not really with Marmol at all. So if he has an injury, it just complicates that situation even more so.
Yeah, and you follow that up in the middle of their lineup, their cleanup man tonight, their third baseman, Aramis Ramirez. He leaves with a calf injury. You don't know the severity of that, and that's a big blow to them, too.
You got to take advantage. Milton Bradley's not healthy. He's not starting these games with a groin pull. So it's a situation. This is still a very good Cubs ball club, but you got to take advantage because they're not 100% right now.
Very quickly, Skip Schumacher off the hook, and that's good to see.
Well, we know, and nobody feels worse than Skip Schumacher. Physical errors are going to happen, but, you know, it's one of those situations. Concentrates so much at second base and ground balls, learning that position. You wonder how many, and everybody takes for granted his defensive play in the outfield is going to be exceptional. So it was really just it was one of those freak things that's not going to happen on a consistent basis.
Friday night, final telecast of the week, and the Hungo Award is coming up later in the show. Let's send it back over to Pat and Ricky. Guys.
Well, all right, looking forward to the Hungo, guys. Let's get back downstairs at Busch Stadium. Tony La Russa addressing the media, brought to you by the Painting and Decorating Foundation.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was probably the most outstanding in the 7th. You know, with a series of stuff that happened, and they got basically nobody out, and you just get one run, he doubles up. One of the toughest guys to double up in baseball. So he was outstanding. I know he's upset. You know, he got 3 runs, somehow get on the board, but he overcame a lot of stuff in that inning and gave us a great chance to win.
Is that still in the category of great play if it works?
No, it's a great play. I mean that's probably, I don't disagree with too much, but that's probably the most I would disagree. You know, it's a great attempt. You got Marmol out there. It's tough to score on. You make something happen. You throw him out, so what? You stand around waiting to get 3 hits, you know, still be playing.
It stand out that he gets the hit in the first place because that's one of the few guys that's actually kept both of those guys quiet over.
He's a real talent. You know, we just put the ball and play up the middle, and that's baseball. You know, Adam gave a blooper to Johnson that was a key play in that inning. I mean, it's just baseball. You put the ball in play. He did it with 2 strikes. It's just good baseball.
Two questions. Where are you with what you're getting offensively game to game, and where are you with what you're getting defensively, Mike?
Well, I look at the way we crank out at bats, and I think we're doing an outstanding job up and down the lineup, day in and day out. The guy we faced today, in fact, everybody they threw are really tough to center. So we put a bunch of tough at bats against him. I mean, that's the same defense. That didn't Skip make a great play? Didn't Thurston make a great play? I mean, you know, we're making a couple errors here and there, but overall, we have the same attitude and hustle and defensively, and you don't win games we've won if our defense is poor. It's just, we've had a couple breakdowns. So overall, I like the way we're playing defense, and I like the way we're taking at bats. I love the way we're competing.
What did you see from Adam that inning when they did get the 3 runs?
Well, I mean, they get, Lee jumps the first pitch and gets it started. Then you got to break him up to Fontenot. And then he made a better pitch to Johnson. He put the bat in play, and he gets a hit. And then they bunt him over. Miles, who was it? They bunt him over? Who hits for the pitcher? I can't remember what.
Bradley.
No. Hoffmeyer. What did he do? Didn't he? That was the error. I mean, so that's outstanding pitching. I mean, that ain't the only thing you can say with it. And I don't think you can fault him trying to get ahead of Lee. He got one breaking ball to Fontenot. So it's a tough no decision, but it contributed mightily to us winning that game, the way he pitched for 7 innings.
How nice is it to be able to trot out the same guy in the 9th inning?
Well, I mean, we're not going to overwork him, so somebody else would be trotting out there too. But, Ryan, he did that last year. He picked us up. I mean, he's a quality veteran, and he's got a lot of ways to get guys out. Got Gath right over there, and he made it hard for him to steal. I mean, he's got a lot of talent. So, but we're going to have other guys step up.
Thurston's hit is, then he makes a heads-up play, getting the third to be in position to score a third run. I mean, the stuff that happens behind him maybe muddles that, but that seemed like the one plate appearance probably is telling the thing that happened.
Yeah. There again, I mean, what happened behind it? Skip dropped the $5. He goes, I off it. So, I mean, that's same guy that made a diving play at second base. I mean, that's baseball. Physical errors are part of the game. But you're right. Dempster's a tough customer. It's first and second, nobody out. He's thinking about it, should bunt. I don't want to bunt. And you got Wainwright. It's the same situation you had in Chicago. It didn't work. This time it worked because Joe made it work. Okay.
From Tony La Russa's comments, let's go to the highlights. Scoreless game in the top of the third. Reed Johnson leading off the inning. Rips one to third. Joe Thurston, the terrific diving stop, fires the first to get the Speedy Johnson. Nice play by Thurston. Let's go to the 4th inning now. The Cardinals flash some more leather. Alfonso Sornio pops one up to shallow right. Second baseman Skip Schumacher lays out and makes the catch. Converted outfielder looking like he's at home now at second base. Terrific play by Skip. Still scoreless in the 5th. Thurston on, up with 2 on, nobody out, and he jumps on the first pitch. Off Ryan Dempster into the gap. Molina and Green come all the way around to score on the double. Cardinals take a 2-0 lead. Thurston now with 10 RBIs, 4th most on the team. 2 batters later, Schumacher at the dish with Thurston at third, slaps one to left, and that scores Thurston 3-0. Skip Super Joe getting it done defensively and offensively. How about a double play here? 6-3-6, top of the 6th, and the Cardinals still lead at 3-0. To the 7th, bases loaded, nobody out, 3-1 Cardinals. Micah Hoffpower bloops one to shallow left, and Skip Schumacher now out and left. Now that's a rare error by him. Fontenot scores on the Schumacher error. It's 3-2. Next guy up, Ryan Theriot, grounds into a 6-3 double play. So a couple of outs there, but the tying run does score. To the 8th inning, Kyle McClellan pitching with runners on third, 2 outs, and Fontenot swinging on the curveball to end it. McClellan goes out, gets out of the jam, and momentum back to the Cardinals. And then there it was, Albert Pujols with the leadoff single, and after he steals the base, Ryan Ludwig singles up the middle, driving in Pujols, and that was all the Cardinals would need because 4-3 would hold up thanks to Ryan Franklin coming in the top of the 9th and getting a 1-2 walk and third out, and all is well that ends well for the Cardinals. 4 runs on 9 hits, the 2 errors to the Cubs, 3 runs on 8 hits. The winning pitcher turns out to be Kyle McClellan. Franklin gets his 5th save of the season in 5 save opportunities. Adam Wainwright, just the 1 earned run, 3 runs while he was on the mound, 7 innings, gets a no decision. Let's talk, though, Rick, about Pujols and Ludwig. That is now 40 RBIs for that duo. They lead all of Major League Baseball as far as the 3-4 hitters with those 40 RBIs. And just when you need them most, Albert leads off and follows with Ryan Ludwig. And like I said, all's well that ends well.
One of our favorite people that has ever been in a Cardinal uniform is Lou Brock, and one of the things that he loves to say is that the stars always come out at night, and that's exactly what happened in the 8th inning of this game after a couple of 3 spots early on off of Wainwright and then Dempster. It was all about Albert Pujols in the 8th inning, a base hit. He could have had 3 hits in this game. He took Marmol up the middle, and then he steals second base.
3 nights in a row.
3 nights in a row. Are you kidding me? And then Ryan Ludwig with the game winner, and Albert was very excited as he crossed the plate.
I would say so, because he knew that they could get one against their rivals and even up the season series so far at 2-2 after a couple of got away there at Wrigley Field. I stand corrected. There was 1 out when Albert got up there in the 8th inning, but same results, and that is the best hitter in baseball followed by the second best hitter on the Cardinals came through in the clutch.
And they're
when
getting
needed.
help up and down the lineup.
Yes, they certainly
not just
are.
those 2 guys, but they certainly came through tonight.
Well, it was a big win for this Cardinal ball club. Much more to come. In fact, we're just getting started here on U.S. Cellular Cardinals Live. We are, of course, coming to you from the Aqua Bar inside Lumiere Place. Coming up, we'll go inside the Cardinals clubhouse, and we'll talk more about Adam Wainwright tonight. Stick around, live on U.S. Cellular Cardinals Live from Lumiere Place.